Hello YouTube, my name is Phil, and today I thought I'd bring you a bit of Battlefield 4 gameplay. So, the thing that I get asked the most in comment sections and on Twitter and Facebook and all the other bits and pieces, different ways of getting hold of me really, is why don't you PC game? Why don't you use a PC for gaming, you console scrub? Is pretty much kind of what I get asked the most. So I thought I would make a video kind of explaining it in detail, and I thought I would talk to you guys about this, because frankly being called a PC console peasant or, you know, what have you, not a PC owning faggot, it kind of, it wears a little bit after a while. So I thought I would explain it to you in kind of words that would be easy to understand, I guess. Sorry, I realise I'm sounding like a bit of a shit here. And I'm not trying to, but I thought I would get this very clear and get it out there to everybody so that it's kind of very understandable, and you can then sort of appreciate the fact that, yes, I use a console for gaming, and maybe I can explain to you why. Okay, so why I don't PC game. Now, I always used to, alright? I've always had PCs that I have used for gaming. I have 3 Windows PCs at home at the moment that I can use for games. Not massively high-end, and I don't imagine for a second they would run things like Battlefield 4, but they can play some games. And I do prefer PC for games. Things like Age of Empires, I love that whole series. I play Civilization 5, and so on. You know, that kind of game. Championship Manager as well for the football, like proper football, not American football, yeah, obviously. I like that sort of... I like the PC, I like the mouse and keyboard for that. I don't for other things, okay? I like to play, when I'm playing like a game like this, like Battlefield or Titanfall or whatever, I like to play in the lounge. I like to sort of sit down in front of my TV. I've got quite a big TV in the lounge, and on a comfy chair with my feet up and using a controller. That's how I enjoy doing it. And I know that you can put a PC next to your TV and run it through there and all the rest of it and have it launched directly into Steam and what have you, but that's not really what I'm looking for. It's not as quick, it's not as accessible, it's not as sort of direct as it would be. When using a console, I've got an Xbox 360, I've got a PlayStation 4, they're both linked up to the TV. I don't even have to change cables. I turn the TV on, press a button on the controller, that's it, it's on, ready to go. Okay. I like the fact that on a console, it's a level playing field. Everyone is using the same equipment. No one's going, well, I have a 780 Ti and I get 80 frames a second, and I've got a 520 XP, which means that I have to play on low, but then I get 120 frames a second. Any of this shit. Right? And I'll be honest, I've pulled those numbers out of the air. I don't know if they're good things or bad things or whatever. But there is an awful lot about that, and like the PC community is very kind of keen on what your frames per second are and what your resolution is, and whether you're playing on ultra or low or all that sort of crap. Like, I can't be fucked with, to be honest with you, YouTube. Like, that doesn't bother me at all. What I like is I like the fact that, you know, if I'm playing Battlefield on a PlayStation 4, like, unless I'm in a, you know, Australian server, frankly, like, everyone else is going to be having the same sort of levels of ping as me. They're having the same sort of frame rates as me. It's just, it's level, all right? They're all using the same sort of controller. No one's got any kind of advantage. And that's what floats my boat, YouTube. That's what makes it happy for me. As you guys know, I'm not the best player in the world by any stretch at all. So I don't necessarily want to be playing a video game where, you know, someone who has a better monitor or a better mouse or a better graphics card, or I don't know the other bits and pieces that go into PCs, but that sort of stuff, like, sounds pretty impressive, yeah. Anything like that, you know, where they could get the benefit of those. I don't necessarily want to be playing against those people, yeah. I want to be playing against people that are using the same hardware as me, because then that makes it level, it makes it fair, and that's what I like. As I say, I like sitting on a sofa when I game. I don't want to sit in a desk and chair. I sit in a desk with a chair when I'm at work. I use a Windows PC when I'm at work. I don't want to do that when I'm at home. Alright, so again, that's another kind of reason for consoles. Now, the other big bit, right, and this is a big bit, so I don't really use the PCs very much at home at all. As I say, we've got them, like, you know, but I don't use them. Most of the stuff that I use particularly when I'm like editing and rendering and all the rest of it, I use a Mac, alright, and because a Mac is... I like the Mac. There's all sorts of reasons, and you guys are going to go, oh, no, fucking Mac. Oh, Mac, that's worse than the PC. Oh, it's worse than the console. Yeah, okay, fine. Whatever. You're entitled to your opinion. But I find it has a much better operating system. It's easier to use. I like it. It's shiny. It's pretty. It does all the things that I need it to do. So yeah, actually I use my Mac most of the time. I don't like the Windows operating system, particularly the more recent ones. I just feel it's a bit clunky. It doesn't sort of deal with everything as promptly and as easily as I would necessarily like it to. So I don't really like Windows. And not liking Windows makes it a little tricky to be kind of, using a Windows PC, frankly, for games. Do you know what I mean? Because it's kind of a prerequisite. You need it there. What another thing as well, right? So I do have some mates that game on PCs and stuff, and I don't hold it against them at all. I do, genuinely like some of them. But it seems very much a kind of like, oh well, I've uninstalled this and then I've reinstalled that, and then I've had to reboot my drivers, and then I've had to update the NVIDIA bit and blob. And then when I'm using my recording software, it drops the frames per second. So I've had to do this and that. Like, I don't want that. I don't want to faff about. I don't want things to be more complicated than they necessarily need to be. And you can draw your own conclusions on that based on my intellectual prowess. And that's not the end of the world. Like, I don't give a shit if you think I'm thick or not. But it's not something that I particularly want to be dealing with. I want stuff to be simple and straightforward. Like, there's a lot that goes on in my life. Okay, I'm married. I have a mortgage. I have a full-time job. I have a child. I have a dog. There's lots going on. I don't necessarily get vast amounts of time to game. When I do, I want things to be straightforward. I want to be able to turn it on, play the game, put the disc in, and it works. I don't want to be sort of worrying about uninstalling drivers and reinstalling stuff and putting a new SSD onto the computer so that it runs half a second quicker and gives me the jump on some sniper on a roof. Do you know what I mean? That sort of thing. It doesn't appeal to me. I don't need it. Sorry about the burp there. I'm drinking a beer while I'm talking. It doesn't appeal to me, and it's not something that I want to be doing. Now, if you do want to be doing that, all power to you. I genuinely well done. But it's not something for me, and as this is, frankly, my video where I'm telling you what I want to do, I think that's kind of relevant information. Another thing as well. Now, so I watch some PC YouTubers that are playing Titanfall at the moment, for example. And now Titanfall seems to be getting filled up with hackers, which is a bit of a problem. I used to really enjoy watching Crysis 3. I watched the PC YouTubers, Story Machine, right? Did a lot of Crysis 3 videos. And I did some Crysis 3 videos. On the Xbox 360, it was a stunning piece of art to see. On the PC, it was incredible. It was beautiful. And it was really disappointing to stop. The game died, and now it's just full of hackers, and that's not something that I want. I like the fact that actually, like, with a console, yes, okay, there are glitch points in various games, and you can hide in different places and make it very difficult to be killed, but you're not able to hack in quite the same way. You don't get people with aimbots and fucking damage bots and all these other bots and shit that you can kind of basically go into the code itself and change it and make your player better. Because, again, that's an unfair advantage, isn't it? And that's an unrealistic thing for people to be able to do. I don't like that. I want to stay away from it. So I don't. So again, the games that I do play on the PC, they're not multiplayer online games. It's single player games. It's stuff that I play sort of on my own when I want to sit down with for a couple of hours. Another thing about it as well is pirating as well. And don't get me wrong, like, some people pirate software, some people don't pirate software. It's completely a personal choice. I don't agree with it. So it's not something that I would want to get into. I know that people say that, yes, PCs are dearer or the games are cheaper or anything else. And there are lots of benefits and there are all sorts of different ways to see it and, what you prefer and what you don't prefer. I just thought I would give my opinion on it. I prefer playing with a console because, like, if push comes to shove, frankly, I'm a very casual sort of gamer. I don't play hours and hours every single day. It's not something that I particularly want to do. I have been playing video games for the thick end of 30 years now, so I do sort of have my history with it, and I've played all sorts of different models and types of machinery, and some are better than others, and some have stood the test of time and some haven't. I don't use a PC. This is basically just for you guys that ask me the questions, because it's just not kind of where I want my life to revolve around right now. Okay, that might change in the future, when the children get older or what have you else, or the dog is able to walk herself, then, maybe then I will set up a PC in one of the rooms and I can take it from there. But as it stands at the moment, I'm a console gamer. I'm very sort of happy and proud of that. And yeah, I hope that has answered your questions. Well, anyway, YouTube, thank you very much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, tremendous, hit like, leave me a comment, tell me what platform you play on and why you do that. If you click the link in the middle, that will take you to a previous video. Thanks again for watching. Take care, good night, good afternoon, and good day.